for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Cass.
I was very interested when I was checking out your website. I really wanted to learn more about what made you start your website. Was there any sort of event or inspiration that kind of geared you towards starting your business?
I would say my inspiration was really going natural first and foremost. I went natural back in like 2015, 16, and just kind of researching natural products for my hair. I was a biology major.
Okay.
Or I am a biology graduate, so I was learning about all these plant-based stuff and everything and doing my research, and I started making products for myself and my daughter because a lot of the stuff that was out there that was natural was so expensive, and
right, of course.
it was like too much. I'm like, I can make this stuff. So I started looking into it, making some stuff, and then at the time after I graduated with my biology degree, I ended up working at a cancer center. And there you see, people are going through chemo and radiation and all this, toxic stuff, and losing their hair. And so a lot of times, by that point, my hair was good. It was healed and it was nice, and my curls were really nice. So I got a lot of compliments from the patients on my hair, and at the time, they're going bald.
Right.
So it's a tough, conversation to have when, they're
I can imagine, yeah.
So then I'd get a lot of questions, and I'd be giving a lot of advice about what they can use and stuff like that. And I did have this one patient where she was devastated because she was starting to lose her hair. And, in my mind, I was like, there's so many more things that you should be worried about right now other than your hair. That's like, in my mind, I couldn't kind of wrap my head around it. But then I realized at that point that, our hair, especially as women, it means a lot to us. It's our identity for some. So when I gave her advice, and that day, as a protective style, I'll wear wigs here and there, and that day I was having to wear a wig, and she had no idea it was a wig. So I ended up talking to her about, where she could buy wigs. I gave her my number, like my personal number, which I don't know if that was okay to do for a patient, but right. I ended up telling her, I can help her find the wig that looks natural, and then when her hair grows back, I could help her find, natural products and stuff. And when people go through chemo and their hair starts growing back, it grows back curly, whether they had straight hair to begin with.
Really?
Yeah, so it's just something with the chemicals. So your hair grows back curly, and for a lot of them, it goes back to straight sometimes, but they're dealing with curls, and some of them had never dealt with curls before, so I was finding myself giving a lot of advice on curly hair. So I started thinking, maybe I should be doing this. It started making me feel really good, and I could see the smiles on their faces, so fast forward now that I have my product, I actually have a cancer survivor that is a customer, and they sought me out because of that background that I had with cancer patients, and it's part of my story that I mentioned on my website, and on the bottle itself I have kind of my background and story on there. And they've been loving the product, so her name is Jobri, and she is in remission now, but she had relapsed about twice and gone through all the chemo and radiation that her mom was looking for something, chemical-free.
Right.
After dealing with so many chemicals for so long, since 2018 was when she was diagnosed, they finally found something that was good and safe for her. So so that's kind of what pushes me and what keeps me going with keeping my products natural, making sure that other people out there are finding this product and that it's safe and that they know that.
I feel like that's a very inspiring story, and I would imagine that a lot of people kind of, just from what you're telling me, I had no idea that your hair grows back curly, so I'm sure that just you sharing that tale even on the bottle or on your website, people kind of reading that, they kind of build that bond, and there'll be a product they're definitely gonna look for. So I definitely want to say great job on that. You saw a need, and then we're able to kind of create a product to go along with it. So just for the biology, I know you didn't mention that you created the product on your own. So
yes.
What was the process there? Was it a lot of trial and error, or did you know exactly what to kind of put together to
I didn't know at first. There was a lot of trial and error. I went online first because at first I was doing it just for me and my daughter. So I was just doing DIY stuff. I would look up YouTube videos, so I found that. But then once I really decided that I wanted to do this as, to sell it and to give that option to people, something completely natural and plant-based, I started looking more into it, and doing my biology degree, we did a lot of research. So I just learned how to do the right research, finding the right, articles and stuff to really find the best ingredients and all that stuff. So I used that background to really research. I had done some chemistry for my biology degree too, so I kind of opened up my chemistry books and notes and like, okay, what should I be kind of looking at, and what should I have, and how do I extend the shelf life, which was really the more important part, because it is natural and has no, like the parabens or all these stuff that tend to extend the life when they're on the shelf. I had to find a safe way of extending the life. So it was, a lot of research, and then I think it was almost a year before I really got the formula down and, testing it. And, I went through a testing phase, and where I had mostly my family members were testers, just telling them, no, it's safe, it's totally safe, trust me, it's all plant-based. I mean, what can go wrong, right? And fingers crossed over here, like, but no, they ended up loving it and stuff. So I went through a few iterations of how I formulated it until, like, I think it was November of 2019 was kind of like my point where I was like, this is it. We're gonna start selling now. So.
I know you were telling me a little bit before that you had started in 2019. So how was last year for you when it came to trying to sell the product and just the whole business growth in general? How was that? Yeah,
it was a little tough. So we started selling in 2019, November of 2019. So just a few months shy of the pandemic hitting. I started off with a pop-up shop, and that was great. I'm like, I could do way more of these pop-up shops. I think in January, February, I had done a what's it called, a curl party. And that was me going to somebody's house, so one of my customers that liked the product wanted to share it. So she invited a bunch of people, and we did a curl party. We did games and, gave away samples and stuff like that. I'm like, definitely doing this more often. And of course, the next month hits and we're not doing any pop-up shops, we're not doing any curl parties. But luckily, when we did launch in November, I had launched the website, so that still went well. I was still getting orders through the website. There was a bit of a lull. I think people were trying to conserve their money for a while too.
Definitely.
But also with hair care, I feel like even if you're stuck at your house, you still want to feel good about how you look and try to keep up
definitely.
appearance just for yourself, for self-care, like we say. So we didn't do horribly. There was just a little bit of a, maybe from February or March when it kind of all hit, maybe a few months in, I was noticing just having difficulty getting my packaging. So there was I guess a delay in getting packaging, back orders because the factories were closed. At that time I was also trying to get new packaging where I wanted to have like a nice box that had said lots of lids on it and all this stuff. All the packaging companies were closed, so that was something I couldn't do. So it was a lot of stuff that I couldn't continue or do that were in my plans. But the sales continued to increase. September 2020, we got a call for NBC Connecticut to do a segment.
Well, that's big.
Yeah, and I work a full-time job, and so I got a call, and I usually don't pick up these random numbers, but I picked it up, and luckily I did because it was NBC Connecticut calling. They had heard about my business and wanted to do a segment about local minority-owned businesses. So then that did launch us again in September. Then we got a little more exposure there, so that helped. So,
I'm sure that helped a lot with the exposure. I did notice they were doing a lot more of the highlighting during the pandemic, which is definitely important for small businesses, because if we're not seen, we're not heard from. So it's definitely important to kind of stay out there. I know you mentioned something about a curl party. Is that a common thing, or did you create that? Because that's very...
So I guess I might have coined the term curl party, but it was kind of like your Tupperware parties.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
So something like that. So I've been to a few of those myself, so I was like, okay, I guess, it had started off, the customer was having a purse party that same day. So she's like, hey, I'm having a purse party. I was wondering if you wanted to come in and bring your product. I've been telling all my friends about it and my family, and they're really interested. So then I'm like, okay, we could do a curl party. So we had, in her house, one room was for the curl party, one room was the purse party. But then towards the end of it, we all came together.
Everybody comes together.
Yeah, and then, I had planned out we're going to do games, and so I had like questions where I'd ask these questions, whoever gets the answer right, all hair related or and curly hair related. So if they got the questions right, they would get a free sample and stuff like that. So so it was really fun, and I was so excited to continue.
So I did want to learn a little bit more about I will say a little bit more about you. When you look back at your younger self, what's some of the advice you would give yourself kind of moving forward through life?
I think it's just maybe trusting the process, trusting the journey. There were a lot of things I wanted to do. I mean, going through high school and all, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. At one point I wanted to be a marine biologist, and then the next year I had an art teacher that loved my art and convinced me that I should go into art. And then my first year of college I went in for interior design, and I was like, I'm gonna have a show on HGTV. I just had all these ideas. Right. and even still today I get so many ideas. But I think just kind of trusting the process. I went through a lot of stages, and I feel like it all led me to where I am now. I guess my biggest, when I went to school for biology, I was in the medical field already, but I was trying to go on to become a PA, a physician assistant.
Okay.
And in that time, learning more about myself and my hair, and then I really loved biology. I was like, look, this might be another avenue. I'm like, wait, do I really want to stay in the medical field? And although I still am in the medical field today, I just kind of found another side of me, which led to this. When I didn't get into PA school, I did apply a few times. I was devastated, and I just thought, like, what am I going to do now? And even going through thinking about creating this product, I was still going through those feelings, like, I felt like a failure at that point. And after, especially going through biology school, the whole point was to get a bachelor's to get into that other school. But I'm so happy now doing this, and kind of looking back, it's like I felt so kind of lost for a while, and then I think I found my way and whatever. So I think just kind of trusting the process and going through the motions of stuff. I think as long as you keep at it, you'll find what your purpose is.
I definitely would agree. It is cliche, but like I do feel like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
It all kind of, like, you can't see the picture as it's being painted, but once you finally get there and you look back, and it's
to keep saying, where's this going? Or,
exactly.
But yeah, it definitely, looking back, like I would have never expected to have my own business at this point, and I feel like this was exactly what I needed.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, it's a great story. Definitely appreciate you sharing a little bit more about yourself. Did you have any role models or role models currently that you kind of lean on for counsel, or like if you have any questions in growing your business currently?
Really, I know a lot of people say their parents, but my mom really was a big role model. Just growing up, she was just so strong. I have both my parents are still together. But my mom was just so much an inspiration to me, just how she did everything in the house, and she was able to, come from work and take care of us and do all this other stuff. And I think that's kind of where I got my drive from, and being able to just kind of do everything. Like I'm constantly on the go, and I think I get that from her. And but now too, I feel like just my community, I try to build a little community around myself of women that are kind of empowered and are out there doing stuff and getting things done.
That's important.
And I try to help others, figure out how to do, stuff with their businesses and get the help that they need. The women that reach out to me asking questions about businesses, and to me, it's never a competition. I think there's room out there for all of us. So I think I get inspired hearing other stories and seeing like what they're going through, and then giving advice and helping each other out. I think there's just such a big community out there of people that can do that for each other. So.
Yeah, I think that's like the most important thing, because I mean the competition, the crab in a barrel mentality doesn't really help you in the end if you're focused on somebody else. But if everybody's working together collectively, we can always go further together as businesses. Yeah. So in the grand scheme of things, what would you say? What does success look like for you?
Success. Let's see. It can mean so many things. I mean, I feel successful on just having my own business. It just feels so great to have my own thing going.
Right.
And especially when you hear your customers loving your product and sharing and all that stuff, that feels like success to me already. Especially coming from what I just mentioned, just feeling like a failure just like a few years ago, like let's say 4 or 5 years ago, I felt like, what am I doing? And just, I have a daughter, and I just wanted her to be proud of me too. And so I feel like success is a lot of time a feeling, and seeing like my daughter look up to me and tell me like, that she's so proud of me, or she gets excited, like even for this podcast, she was like, oh my goodness, you know, and just seeing that, it makes me feel like a success. But I think as I grow, eventually giving back and stuff too, that would feel like a big success as well, to be able to help others and give back.
I would agree. I could definitely see how that is a feeling. You can also see it, it's visual, and you can feel it.
Definitely.
So I definitely do understand that point. So it does bring us to the random question of the day.
Okay.
So this this one was submitted. This probably asked a lot, but I do find it interesting people's answer.
Okay.
So if you had one superpower for moving forward, what would that be? What would you say is your ideal superpower?
My ideal superpower, I have thought about this before. So, and it really doesn't have much to do with my business, but I would love to be able to fly, which I know is also my daughter's like superpower. She would like, but I love to travel. You know, this last year has been so hard on me because usually that's my escape, just being able to travel. Every year we take 2 vacations and go somewhere new. So just being, if I can just fly somewhere like within seconds, like the Flash or something. Like I want to be able to just go to like San Diego like in an instant, or you know, go somewhere new like across the world. Like I would love to just be able to do that. Yeah. That'd be great. And maybe I can incorporate into my business. Maybe I can take my product somewhere to my customers right away.
Delivery is right
that'd be like the quickest delivery. I love that. So,
make sure to write a review.
Yes. Yes. Review on the quick delivery.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic product and delivery is quick.
Yes. That'd be great.
So in terms of your business now, are you solely sold online, or do you have any partnerships with any stores currently?
Yeah, so I'm currently mostly online. It's e-commerce, so I do sell online. In the area, so I live in Eastern Connecticut.
Okay.
Any customers that are on Eastern Connecticut, I work my full-time job in Southeastern Connecticut. So anywhere in between, I do offer to deliver if they have any issues with ordering online or anything like that.
Okay.
Or if I happen to know that I'm going to pass by their house or something, I'm like, well, you know, I can deliver to you. So I've done that. I've had a couple customers that come to my place because they're just like, hey, I'm in the area, and don't know of me in the area. But I did have a couple salons, one in Norwich called One Stop Barbershop that was carrying the product, and in New Haven, Connecticut, there's the Curly Hair Salon, also carried the product. So I need to reach back out to them, see if they need any more. So that's why I say they were carrying it. I'm not sure if they still have. It's been about 5 months since they had initially gotten it, so I just need to follow up with them. But so I did have a couple of salons, so hopefully they'll still keep carrying it, and those are 2 locations. But if anybody out there knows any other salons or barbershops that might want,
we're gonna get on that. We need to make sure the product is in all areas.
Yeah. So, but then also, I do want to start eventually the pop-up shops and stuff. I know in April I'm planning on being at the Women's Expo in Bridgeport. So we'll have it's a 2-day shop or 2-day event, which will be live April either 23rd and 24th or 24th and 25th. That weekend, whatever that weekend is, we'll be there. But we are online, so anybody across the 50 states can order, and we will deliver.
Nice. For the how's customer acquisition? Do you run any ads to get customers? Is it all word of mouth? How's that process work?
Well, I have a lot of word of mouth, but I do some like Facebook marketing. So mostly through Instagram. I do have my Instagram page, which also I did just launch the shop on Instagram, so that might be another avenue that they can shop through. I'm not sure if it directs it to the website or what, but so the Instagram is Locks of Liz with 2 underscores, so it's Locks_of_Liz, and then Facebook page is Locks of Liz Haircare, and so a lot of sharing from those pages. We get a lot of like tags and stuff like that, so that's, I guess, word of mouth, but we do just some advertising there. And then when we get, the NBC Connecticut, when they reach out all of a sudden, or the WBDC is somebody I work with closely, and so they'll also spread some kind of word of mouth there, like just offering any help there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so they recently had like a virtual marketplace, so I was part of that.
Very